So I am continuing with the audio about those who are drunk in the family. Sorry that we had the abrupt ending, but my thought that I was going to continue with was that the bad person who we might feel like they are, the drunk person, we don't say that. But what we do recognize is that it's about their behavior. It's not about the morals, right? We don't want to bring up the scriptures and we just don't want to do all of that. But what we do want is for them to not call us or come around us when they've been drinking, and to just cut them off as soon as we see this sort of thing happening. So if we know that they are intoxicated, we're just not going to open up the door for them. We're going to be very direct, very, calm, right? But we're not going to fall for that foolishness that we may have already fallen for in the past. The other thing is that I saw where there were those consequences that some of those who had been around the drunks had set in place. So, is this what you're doing? Okay. So as a result of doing this, and then whatever consequence might be, you're not going to get to see your kids, for a while because of this. We're just going to call the police because he's out of control. Or before we didn't call the police, but we calling the police now. No, I'm not giving him no more money. This is what he likes to do with his money, that type of thing. All right. And then there was those family members who they were upset, the drunk ones, to be more specific, they were upset because there were those family members that wasn't going to put up with their dramas and traumas any longer. Okay. They just weren't going to do it. They said that this is it. I draw the line in the sand. And the relationships were no more. So that's the reason for some of you all that some of us are divided in the family, was because of all of these behaviors that were taking place with some of the drunks. Okay. Some of you others, the division was there, not because of the drunkenness, but because of the other things that I talked about in the other audio messages that I want you to really zone in on. And those are the hustler and gambler audio, the pimp one, and the player, because that also created division within the family and the family secrets associated with those archetypes. Yes. And it just became something where not only are we dealing with it among the elders, but then the younger ones that were recruited are acting this way, and then they're birthing out offspring. And so when you start to see this pattern within a family, you got families who don't mix up with families. Okay. Everybody dealt with trauma in their own way, and some folks continue to deal with it, choosing to perpetuate dysfunction. They have reason in their mind that it's okay to be the pimp, to be the player, to be the hustler, to be the gambler, to be the drunkard. And that's fine. And if that's what they want. But we over here, we don't subscribe to, we don't want to be a part of. It's unhealthy thinking, it's dysfunctional, and all it does is birth out more of the same. Okay. If you do have to deal with the drunks, okay, once again, you're not dealing with them while they're drinking. Under no circumstances do you want to deal with them while they're drinking. You're hanging up on them. I saw these things. You're shutting the door on them. You're not letting them come to your house. You're moving them out. They show up and all the stuff is out there on the front porch. All right. They're calling you up. They're begging. They're pleading. They're crying. I'm not helping you with that. But you did, and I'm not helping you with that. Okay? They may come up with any number of things. I can do this. I can do that for you. Nope, that's not going to work for me. It's going to be tough love for some of you all. Okay? Because this is the mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, auntie, uncle, your favorite. This may even be the manager who cuts your check. Time to look for another job. People want their lives to be easier, right? They pray to the Lord. But when it's time to do the work, are they willing to do the work? And that goes for the person who you drew the line in the sand, but you got to keep drawing the line in the sand. You are the one who said that I'm not going to put up with. You got to keep talking about what you're not going to put up with. You're doing the right thing. I got to encourage someone. You're doing the right thing concerning this drunk. For you who I grew up with this says a lot as to why you do what you do. And there's areas within your mind, body, and spirit that need to be healed. Prayer, yes, but you also have to be conscious of what you're doing and what you're not doing that is causing problems for you. You're always looking at everybody in the room. You may be falsely accusing people that you shouldn't be accusing. She wasn't drunk. She was just on cold medicine. But you're just, you're hyper, right? You're hyper vigilant. There's those individuals who, I'm just going to put up with because I don't want to rock the boat. I'm going to keep the peace. Because you saw your mother, because you saw your father, because you saw so-and-so. You're still in that marriage 20, 30, 40 years because you are a master people pleaser. But at your own detriment. A lot of people prematurely in their grave because of this very thing. People pleasing. I'm just going to, just say yes to everything because I don't want to hear his mouth. I remember hearing that. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And so that's why we said, well, what's in our power? Because we recognize that's dysfunctional, that's terrible, that's messy. What's in our power to change? That means I'm not going to be agreeable like mama. That means that I'm not going to assume the worst in everyone because of whatever I experienced back in the day. And another thing that I saw with some of the aunts was that they were feeling guilty. They were feeling guilty for the drunks. I know I should. He would have never got in trouble if I would have just went and did. You already did more than enough. Some of you all had those conversations. You already did more than enough. How much more do you have to do? Sometimes you don't even trust yourself. You don't trust what you're seeing because of all of what you went through. Because people around you, ever since you was little, said, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you see. You don't know what you... Right? Wanted us to doubt. And then, of course, some folks, you're angry after all these years, just now. All before you was smiling in their face. You was even drinking a little drink with them or buying a little drink or bringing them around. Now you're angry. That's just delayed, but at least you got to that point because back in the day, you were probably told, what you got to be angry about? You see, not acknowledging your anger. But now, you got every right to be angry. Angry for the times that you missed out on because somebody was drunk. Angry because life didn't get any better because somebody was drunk. Angry because life was good for a while until somebody started drinking. Angry because all of the stress related to that drunk person or that periodic, I get a drink every now and again, put stress on somebody who's no longer with us. Okay? We unpacking it today. There's an anger there. But you don't scapegoat. You don't, look for scapegoats. You place the anger where the anger should be. You don't look for the blaming and shaming. Lord Jesus. You look for the healing. This God that we serve wants to heal somebody right now. We don't just talk on this channel. We talk to change. We talk to rearrange. We talk to make sure that that devil knows that we know the truth, that you're not getting away with anything. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We pray that people get saved, sanctified, Holy Spirit filled before they check out of here. But a lot of them don't want it. And I'm not going to hold up my life chasing after the wind either. Some of you all get my book. Get my book. Tell me, Mother, you're sorry. Get my book. Say goodbye to Dad. Sit down and really read it. Really understand why it was important to put together books like that. Because it challenges you to think about the dysfunction. It challenges you to do better with your own. It challenges you to get right with the Lord, to help people out of their miserable situations. You thought that I was going to go through all of that and not want to help people? Not want to do better? I thank this God for the trials and tribulations. I thank this God for making me see the impact of what dysfunction did through and through. Al-Anon is available for families of alcoholics. Check it out. Al-Anon, Al-Anon, A-N-O-N. They have all of the necessary resources to help you with whatever you're going through. There's the ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics. What they do is they focus on the childhood impact, right? Some of what we did today, right? Giving you some idea of what happened, triggering some thought, and then you can do the rest if you're still going through your share of difficulties. Therapy, always a good thing to do, right? Because this way you can understand what the family system was that got you from here to there, or from there to here, you know. And there are those individuals who need to have what we call a way to deal with folk in a healthy, functional way. Low contact, no contact, some type of contact plan, okay? Over the years, I have told people that you do what's best for you. You know your situation. I don't. You know how often you want to deal with somebody. You also know what the conditions are at which you will deal with that person. And you also know what they're going to do or may do that may cause you to just say enough is enough and I don't want nothing to do with this person. I did not like to see the fear that was going on within the family concerning the drunkenness. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be mixed up in it. And so, for me, I'd rather be the lost child than being the one that came around. That was my way of dealing with it. Because I didn't want to keep hearing or seeing or any of it. Because when something's not right, let me tell you something. You don't force it to be right by pretending like I'm just going to look past that. People have this way of pulling up forgiveness, right? Trying to put forgiveness on stuff that it's not about forgiveness. It's about establishing healthy boundaries. That's where I will say that some people have a dysfunction in terms of what it means to forgive. And I talked about this on this channel before, about this false forgiveness, right? That some folks put out there because they want to just keep getting away with whatever they want to get away with. So they'll put it out there like you should forgive. No, you should stop drinking. You should get your act together. That's what you should do. How about that? How about you figure out all of your dysfunction and how the drunk impacted you and your family and how there's still the generational stuff that's going on? How about that? Proverbs 20:1. Wine is a mocker. Strong drink is raging. The point. Alcohol, come on, can do what? Turn a person into someone you don't even recognize, that you don't even trust. Proverbs 23:29-35 says, this is one of the most, I'm going to tell you right now that before I get into that, there's something that someone right now needs to recognize with regard to this drunkenness, okay? They need to recognize the strife that has caused your family, okay? Your sons and daughters, your grandsons, granddaughters. The sadness, the sorrow, depression, the things that are associated with it. See it for what it really is. Don't be like the narcissist. That I don't see it. It's not about me. It's not, when it comes to that. But it's all about them when it comes to all the good, right? It's bad all across the board. Drunkenness is bad all across the board. There's people that are trying to heal from wounds from years ago as a result of he was just drunk. When he hurt those girls, when he hurt those boys, when he messed around on his wife, when he lost his job, when he lost his freedom. Oh, Lord Jesus. Proverbs. I'm going over to Proverbs 23 and 29. I was getting ready to get into it earlier. All right. Proverbs 23:29-35. And this is in the King James Bible. Who hath woe, who hath sorrow, who hath contentions, who hath babbling, who hath wounds without cause, who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, thou shalt, or they have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. Okay? Drunk people bring about the chaos, grieve us, create all sorts of conflict. They talk and talk and talk. There's all sorts of injuries on their bodies, and I don't remember how I got that, and they got that look in their ass. And the whole household pays. Okay? Sooner or later. So, I know that some individuals find it hard to put the bottle down. There were people who got drunk in the Bible. Noah got drunk over in Genesis 9:20-27. Lot got drunk over in Genesis 19:30-38. Nabal got drunk over in 1 Samuel 25. But that does not give you an excuse. It doesn't give you an excuse. And we don't excuse those who in modern day times get drunk. And all of them had dramas. All of them had issues. So it's not just about the modern day family. This goes all the way back to biblical times. Righteous men did get drunk. Daughters got folk drunk, right? More specifically, Lot. And then, of course, there's people who do some very messy things, like Nabal. They're unsafe to be around. You know some of your family? I thank you as always for taking the time out to listen. Take the time out after this message to pray. Lift up all of the names to the Lord. Put them in His hand who are drunks. Okay, let's just be honest. I don't care if they periodically get drunk or they do it often. Drunk is drunk. Let's give that all over to the one true God and let God have his way. Because some of you all, you already tried everything, but it's time to put God in on a plan in such a way where it may not be what you hope it would be, like them simply getting in a car and getting help. No, sometimes it takes bad things for people to finally figure some things out. And sometimes even when the bad things happen, like the car wrecks, which happen with some individuals in the family, they still don't learn. And at that point, what I learned from some of the ride or die type of people that were ride or die with Jesus, not with them, was they let them go. They didn't give them nothing else. They didn't answer another phone call. They didn't open up another door. They let them go, as I told you earlier in this message. So you know what you're supposed to do. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving on this channel. Thanks in advance. Blessings to you.